I know that you have been an advocate of women not doing hormone replacement. Yeah. And I know you are a lone soldier out there fighting the fight.
Lots of arrows. Do you see them?
Yeah. And so would you say that the biggest thing is because we're missing opportunities
100%.
to approach this from a more foundational level? Is that the biggest challenge you have with hormone replacement?
It is. And that's the place, as I was even being educated on them in school, I was asking the questions like, why are we not understanding why they're exhibiting these symptoms? It was just so immediate when all of our professors in this field all worked for the compounding companies. So I started questioning. I mean, you got to remember, I had to always look up this guy. So in 1960s, Dr. Robert Wilson, the gynecologist, started shouting from the rooftops that there's this tragedy of menopause and that we need to be feminine forever. If you go follow the money, this is the dude that had all of the money and all the attachments to Premarin. So that's where this began, was one man completely changing the narrative on women's health and basically, saying that he said it coincides with his discovery of cheap estrogen and that pharma started training the next future generations that menopause is a disease. This is where it began. So it drives me effing crazy that at the time we were also creating women's lib and all these other things, we were actually putting ourselves back into other prisons. We were actually not asking the right questions. And when we look at generations of the women throughout the 40s and 50s who were put on DES, we realized that was a big problem a generation later when we started seeing vaginal cancers and in their children, breast cancers and prostate cancers and on and on and on. We're not doing the same with this. It takes generations for it to fully show up. And so I was sitting in class as someone who'd had lots of problems with hormones, and my mom, lots of problems with hormones, and lots of other people that I was being exposed to at that time, plus knowing my grandmothers and my great-grandmothers never had any menopause symptoms, and asking those questions. I just started asking, and I was like the lone star in the room asking those questions. And then when I moved, as I said, to an unlicensed state where we couldn't even write scripts for that, I had to lean on my brains, right? I had to use critical thinking, and I had to help women know their bodies, and I had to help women know their biography that led to that biology and help them write a different story. And that's what I got to do for 17 years. And then as I got deeper into the oncology world and started learning about single nucleotide polymorphisms and saw one of the examples, even though everyone's dismantling the NHANES study at this time, we did still see a big change that happened. We had the highest rates of breast cancer in the world was in Marin County, which coincided with the highest intake of hormones, of hormone replacement. They normalized to the rest of the population after that study came off and those women got off the hormones. And we're seeing the uptick of it as they're all hopping back on. It's just through a different form now, but it's seeing that again. It's I don't care that everyone's cherry picking the data and saying that study was a problem. We have some really big long-term studies that show massive changes in these pieces. The other side of it is that we don't need that tool. That would be a tool to me reserved for absolute last case scenario, worst case scenario. Why do we start with that? We don't start with lifestyle. We're starting, where would you start?
Yeah.
Well, I want to understand. I want to understand what was your hormonal history? What was your menstrual history? What was your fertility history? What was your, depending where they're coming to me, your perimenopause or postmenopause? I want that story. I want to know when, where they lived, what their zip codes were, what types of chemicals were they exposed to. I want to know what industries they were in. I wanted to know if they ever took, any form of birth control pills or IUDs or any of those things along the ride. Then I want to look at their single nucleotide polymorphisms and see how they endogenously process the world in, on, and around them to then decide how can we clean up your terrain to help your body do its job of bringing in the information, translating the information, and sending out different signals. I mean, hormones are signals, right? To the body to do its job better and more efficiently. Then and only then, if we come to a crossroad and all the things aren't working that we've addressed, including the what's going on in your relationship, and are you cleaning up? Are you dealing with those traumas of your past that might have shut you down for protection?
Yep.
When we've reached that, then we might consider exogenous support. But Dr. Mindy, knock on wood, I have not had to ever lean on the exogenous support. We've never needed to do that. In 17 years of a private practice that saw thousands of women, I that's not just anecdotal, folks. And then those that I now train, these clinicians across the globe, many of which come to me that had their bread and butter from script writing hormone replacement practices, the feedback I'm getting from these clinicians is, that definitely hit me in the bottom line in the beginning. But now the women are coming into them, and the men are coming into them to say, I'm ready to correct my terrain, not replace the function of my terrain. And now they're drawing in a different clientele, and they're inspiring the clientele that they had put on those to do something different. And so it might have been a lull in the beginning and very terrifying. And now they're like, because they see it, that the clinicians see it themselves, be like, oh my God, it does matter if you deal with insulin, cortisol, oxytocin.
I'm thinking about, like, before we put your kid in, like, the beginning of the school year, you have to have like a PE. To get into PE, you have to have like a physical health exam.
We used to do that.
Yeah, why we should do that in your early 40s. Okay, let's see where you're at. Let's get an assessment so you can make the changes now. And of course that, having a doctor oversee that could be helpful. I want to talk about your doctors here in a moment. Yeah. And that seems actually really simple. I know these talks of SNPs and stuff might be complicated to the brain, to the people listening. But if you went to a doctor and you said, I'm 40 and I need to clean the terrain, I need to get normal function back, and so that I can take this next journey of my reproductive system with more ease. Yeah. That seems like, why aren't we doing that?
I love it. Well, there's an entire field out there that's opening up as preconception counseling and preconception prepreration, which is gorgeous, as it should, especially because fertility are at a all-time low. And so it's not because you're deficient in, I don't know, Clomid. That's not why you're not pregnant. It's like, let's clean up the terrain to get you preggers. I used to joke with my families. I'm like, we're going to get this cleaned up. And if you really aren't ready to have a baby, you guys need to be careful because it's going to happen. And then it did, right? So
we used to we detoxed so many people in my clinic, and then the next thing they'd come in, they'd be like, oops. I'm like, oh, sorry, God, I should have told you. Like 50-year-old women that would get pregnant. I'm like, I started telling everybody, we're about to detox you, we're going to clean all this up, and just be aware you could get pregnant.
Well, and even that example, like the average age of the women in my practice that I helped with fertility was 47.
Yeah. Wow.
Right.
Perfect.
And the amount of women who were in menopause or very close to it, very like sporadic, would suddenly normalize their cycles for another few years with the type of care we were doing, and be like, whoa, where did that happen? I thought I was done. And you're like, nope, it's still,